Good morning, or afternoon, or good night, my friends. I am once again, as always, Tim from Ski Rex Media. And this week, there are going to be those who are going to look at the title of this episode and think it is complete sacrilege. I'm talking poser level shit. How could a powder day not be worth it? Right? Right. Well, see, the thing is, this episode is going to be more of a storytelling thing. I'm going to let you in a little bit of what happened to me the other day, last Thursday, when I went up to Bolton Valley. Just a little bit, just enough of the story to get to the point of why Powder Day may or may not be worth it, and likely not worth it. So I made an amateur mistake on my way over to Bolton Valley. Great mountain, by the way. I know the recap and review has not come out. That'll be out tomorrow. If you want to be sure to see that or the other recap reviews, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow me on Instagram or the other social media links all in the description or on one of the many the audio only version. There's a version that's just audio, no video. Same thing, but no video. Many options for that. Also down in the description, follow one of those, and you will know when all this stuff comes out. Though the recap and reviews are only video, so go ahead and follow me on Instagram because I put them on IGTV, and subscribe on YouTube and hit like buttons and all that good stuff. Now, last Thursday I made an amateur mistake. I did not bother to look at the weather. As I was headed out, I ran into snow, and that snow continued to get worse the closer I got to Bolton Valley. Obviously, I was going up, and higher elevations, more snow. Some people would say, well, that's great. Snow, awesome. And typically I would agree. And people are like, Powder Day, awesome. And typically I would agree. But as I'm going out there, I start getting a little uncomfortable behind the wheel. Now, this is where it might not be worth it to go to get that powder day. As I'm going, having a little trouble up on the interstate. This storm started. There was no maintenance yet. No sanding or salting or anything of the like up there on the interstate at that time. And I was all over the place. Like, my car was having trouble holding steady. It was probably unsafe for me to be out there. And believe me, if I was going to do a short version of this, this would all be all about safety. Right. But when do I ever do the short version? So I get off the highway, go down into Montpelier. I have to go past Montpelier, but I ended up going through Montpelier. Ended up almost sliding through a stoplight on a downhill. Light went red. I put on my brakes, and I'm sliding to the point where I thought I was going to hit my horn to hope that people going on the crossroad would stop. Made it down that without sliding through it. Get down to the bottom of the hill, another stoplight. A very large truck with no trailer, though, thank goodness. Running bobtail, thank goodness. Made it easier on him. Slid and almost hit me. Was almost hit a few times during this storm. And once I got to Montpelier, was checking the weather to see how long this snowstorm was going to last, which at that point was till 1 o'clock. But the various weather reporting outlets pushed it back 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And I don't think it stopped well into the night. Now, the idea here is safety. Now, I do have to give shout out to Bolton Valley. I don't know if the mountain maintains their own access road because it's 4 miles. It's 4 miles of actual road. So I don't know if they maintain it or the town maintains it, but it was the best road I saw all day at that point, going up and coming down. I went right up it. There was nothing on that. It was perfect. Like, I turned off a Route 2 onto that. Route 2 was snow and ice and yuck. And the Bolton Valley access road it had some dirt on it because, that's what you get this time of year. So it was kind of gross. My car's gross, but went right up it. No worries. And then had a ski day. Again, check out probably on Thursday. The recap and review will finally be up 1 week after I went. Check that out for that full story. But needless to say is the wrong thing to use there. But it just came out as force of habit. But I got to say, I did have a good day. It was a good powder day all in all. Bittersweet for a lot of things. Mostly that snowstorm in which I almost didn't make it up there and had a hard time getting back. An hour drive took me 2.5 and 3 hours going. It took me 2.5 hours getting out, closer to 3, and 2.5 hours getting back. It's all about safety, man. It's all about safety. Like, I know there are people now talking, what are you, a poser? What are you, an amateur? What are you, a wuss? I'm not any of those things. I was not paying attention. That I am guilty of. I have not driven in winter weather like that, even though, we've had some winter, since I've been back in Vermont. It's been since 2017. We've had a couple of good winters and a bad winter, and this is a half winter. Really still not, fully reaccustomed to driving in the snow. And I don't have a winter style car, man. It's front wheel drive, sure, but it's small, it's light. And honestly, I run all seasons, but I can usually work around that, and again, preparatory. I know, unprepared. It's amateur mistakes, but I'm not an amateur. Usually I can work around it, I can plan around the snow, and then I can go and don't have to deal with it. But it really comes down to each their own. Am I a poser? No. I like powder days too. Am I an amateur? No. I just haven't put myself. I'm on an amateur level, but I just haven't regained the experience I once had. All that stuff. I'm not a poser. I obviously do the sport. I obviously like the sport. Maybe I don't do it on the level of some people, but you don't have to. Like, you don't have to ski every day. You don't have to, be big mountain, 20 deep paraski or 20 snowboard quiver. You don't need to do all of that. What people would call a real skier, in quotes, is just someone who does it their way, and I do it mine, and this is my way of easing back into it, and that includes winter driving. So like I said, the short version of this was to be safe. That is when the powder day is not everything it's cracked up to be. That's when a powder day is not worth it. When you are putting yours or someone else's safety at risk, that's when it's not worth it. And for me, though, I did get up to Bolton Valley. Like I said, I made it up there. I made it back. I was safe. It took a long time because I was driving really slow, really double careful. But as soon as I hit something that I felt uncomfortable in, especially when I almost went sliding through a stoplight, when I almost got hit from behind because of someone else, a much bigger vehicle, sliding into a stoplight, safety was an issue, and I probably should have turned back. I should have dropped right down onto the main road, and since I was getting to Montpelier, I was just getting into the storm. It is conceivable that driving east, I could have driven back out of it, and then it would have caught up to me when I got home. I should have taken the hit on my Indy Pass and probably not gone. Now, to say I didn't have a good time, I did. Again, it wasn't the best day in the world, but that had nothing to do with the mountain. Bolton Valley is an awesome mountain. I loved it. I can't wait to go back when I'm in better form and have a really good day there because the place is awesome. I like the layout of it. It felt like a mountain that was built for a New England powder day. Again, more explanation of that thought in the other video, which should come out Thursday on the YouTube channel. Subscribe. No, I probably shouldn't have gone up there because, again, safety. That's what I'm babbling around, is safety. If I had a Subaru Outback all-wheel drive, fancy tires, fancy snow tires, and all that, yeah, I might have been better off. But it's not just me, it's other folks. Not that I'm trying to not take responsibility for my own actions. Believe me, I probably should not have been out there, but I had people on the interstate who were still cruising by at 70 miles an hour. Probably shouldn't have been, but to each their own. I don't know. I did almost get hit on the interstate as well. So there you go on that. No, when safety is a thing, it might be best to stay home. And again, some people would say, no, risk everything. Get the powder day. Like, dude, it's not worth dying for. It never has been. I've never thought it was. And that's a stupid thing to say when you do a sport that is inherently dangerous anyway. But you don't have to add to it. There's ways to do it in control and driving in control as well, which I was in control, but I was also in the way. I had to pull over and let people go because I had lines of traffic. And you say, well, if they're doing the speed limit, why couldn't you? I just didn't feel like I was up to it. I didn't feel like my vehicle was up to it. Believe me, I should have better tires. I should have more experience in the stuff again, but I don't. If it's snowing too hard, I'm not willing to. And it's not always about my own safety or other people's safety. It's just times I don't want to deal with it. Let's all admit it. There's times when, well, let's be honest. If it wasn't going up to the ski mountain to have a good day on skis or a snowboard, there's a lot of people who do those sports and still have other days where going to work, it's like, God damn, I don't want to deal with this. And they get out and drive it, and it sucks. You kind of forget about the suck when you're going somewhere fun versus going somewhere that's work, unless you really like your job. And then, if you have a job you like, you don't work a day in your life. There's that. But even then, it's safety. And, even I have to admit that I get it why people called out of work. When I was a manager back in the day, back in New Jersey, I had no problems getting to work during a snowstorm. There was no snowstorm I didn't make, save for one, and that wasn't my fault. And then the others, they closed the store. New Jersey's different than it is here for snow. 3 inches and the whole team calls out. Up here it usually takes a little bit more, but again, it's different down there. The way they clear the roads isn't the same. None of it. But when it comes to, but I get it. It can be unsafe to drive, and I would rib people who had 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, had Jeeps and wouldn't come in an inch of snow when it like that. Even I brought we had 2 cars in my house, and one was my 2-wheel drive, which I could bring. And if that didn't, we had the little 4-wheel drive rig, and I would bring that, so it was more than possible. And I would tell people, it's not just because I'm from Vermont, because that's what they would say. You're from Vermont, you grew up doing this. And I was like, well, yeah, I did, but I don't anymore. I do it here now. So it's whatever. But it does come down to safety, because I was just ribbing them. I don't want anybody doing something they're uncomfortable doing, because if you're uncomfortable doing it, you might not do it well. You know what I mean? It really comes down to... It comes down to a couple things. One, admitting when something is too much for you, or a person admitting something is too much for them. The other day was too much for me, and even though I still made it, it was a rough day. It was a rough drive, and then then there was other things that went on too. It was a kind of a mess of a day, but I got to ski, and then I came back, and it took me a while to get back because it wouldn't stop snowing, though the roads at this point were taken care of a little bit better. Later in the day, the plows got the chance, they got the plow drivers on the road. Roads were, doing their thing. That was that. They were taken care of a little bit better, but still not perfect and still well below zero. So a wet road can turn into an ice road very quickly. That's something else people forget. If it's 11 degrees, if the road's wet, that could turn to ice. If there's enough people going on it, obviously the everybody rolling on it, friction, heat, all that, fine. But on the roads that don't have as many people, they can turn to ice very fast. And if a salted truck was salted, it hasn't gone by, it can get rough. So safety, that's when a powder day isn't worth it. I probably should have gone with the quick version of this. Powder day is not worth it when it's safety, when it's your safety, when it's my safety, when it's everybody around safety. The police would love if we all would just stay home on those days, because those are the days when most of the wrecks happen. Most of the weather caused wrecks, and they're out there having to deal with that, and they don't want to be out there in it. Their job's hard enough. Same with other EMS. There's days like, look, I'd love to be the one to say, every powder day I'm out there doing it, no matter what, just getting in the car and going and not caring if it takes me 6 hours to go 10 miles. But that's not safe. And I don't know if I would do it again. But it's also to each their own. Like I said, if I'd have had a better vehicle, a more winter a vehicle more prepared to deal with it, I probably wouldn't even think twice about it. But I have my vehicle, and that I have to think twice in. If I had a if I was taking a snowmobile, I wouldn't have thought twice. Yeah, it would have taken a while to get there because the snowmobile trails, there's no straight snowmobile road from here to there. It would be taking the statewide network up and around, but it would be possible, and wouldn't think twice about doing that. Built for it. My car isn't. Be safe is what I'm getting at, everybody. It's taken me 15 minutes to get there, and I said it like 3 minutes in. Be safe. Know your limits. Know your equipment's limits, your vehicle's limits. Don't risk yourself or other people just to hit the powder. And don't let anybody tell you you're a wuss for not doing it. Don't let anybody tell you're a poser. Say, oh, you love skiing, but you're going to quit out on a powder day. That's bullshit. You're a poser. Nah, dude, I just don't want to, I don't have faith in my own driving abilities or my own vehicle or whatever it may be. And, that's that. There's nothing to argue. Don't let them poke fun at your vanity either. Like, if someone calls you a poser, man, don't ignore it. Don't try and fight it. Screw them. Who cares what they think? I've said that about a few things. You know that. The people who say tryhards and haters, man, and tryhards and haters are a pain in the ass for everybody. But while they're telling you, oh, I got to get out on the powder day, they're also the ones telling you about how many times they've been pulled out of ditches. Like, well, at least they tried, I guess. But going into a ditch is one thing. Going into the back of another car is something else. So be safe. Drive safe. If you are out there driving it, drive courteously. Do not ride someone's tail. That's not just safe. That's just courteous, not even on a dry day. Like, don't ride someone's damn bumper. I had the other night, someone was riding my bumper with their pickup truck with their high beams on, dude. My car was so lit up. The inside, it was like, I couldn't see. They had lit my car up so bad. I was up on the wheel because I couldn't see the road anymore. And then they passed me on a wet day. And granted, they had a big old pickup truck. Maybe they had full studded snows. I don't know. But it wasn't safe to do what they were doing. That's for shit sure. And I know I say to each their own, but there's a general idea that we all know driving. I don't know. Maybe I'm a wimp maybe I've become a wimp in my old age. That's very possible. I'm not even going to lie about it. What does it matter? I'm still getting out there and doing it. We're going to get back out there soon and do it. I am. But just be safe. Just be safe and realize if you have to let the powder day go, let it go. You'll get another one, I mean, they come and they go. Maybe you'll hit one, maybe you won't. I got one. I shouldn't have been out there in it. I should have known better. I should have turned back because I was putting myself at risk. And because I knew, I was and other people were sliding through stoplights. I was putting other people at risk. And what other people do is one thing, but I don't have to add to it. Take my car off the road. That just takes it all down at least a little bit. The chances of someone getting hit and hurt. You know what I mean? Myself or someone else, I will say, though, tooling around Montpelier looked like a damn Christmas town. It was awesome. I really like that town. It is the state capital, so people do visit it, but I don't think they appreciate the part that's away from the capital section, like down State Street or whatever it is. That part's kind of crummy, actually, down by the state offices. Not crummy, but it's not as cool as the actual main city center or town center. So check that out if you're ever passing through. And obviously it's COVID-19 time, so there's really not much to check out, but it's a cool town. Anyway, be safe. That is my point. If you're going to get your powder day, and if not, let it go. You're not any less of a skier, snowboarder, or anybody else if you let it go. It's okay to let it go. When it's unsafe to go for it, and a powder day is when it's going to be unsafe to go for it. Again, depending on how well your town and state clears the roads, depending on the other people on the road. Believe me, some of the people on it, I used to see it all the time. When I worked at Mount Snow, I'd be heading into work and just be passing people off the road, just looking. And later on, you talk to people who work. It's a small town, everybody. You talk to people who work for the companies that have tow trucks and stuff, and they're like, I was busy for hours just pulling people out of ditches because they get in their four-wheel drives and their all-wheel drives, and they think, well, I can still do 50 in a 50. You can't. You just can't, and you just shouldn't, because you're risking yourself, you're risking your automobile, and you're risking someone else. So be safe. That is when a powder day is not worth it, is when it's unsafe. And if all the days that are going to be unsafe, those are the ones. Believe me, not many people, more people probably should be out than more probably people are probably trying to get to the mountain on the powder day than should be, but it won't be as many as if it were a nice day. And when the next day is a nice day, go fight for your powder day. Then there'll still be plenty left on the hill, and all you gotta do is get up early and beat everybody to the mountain and get on first chair. That's a better fight to have than risking going into a ditch and getting yourself hurt or someone else hurt or police hurt or fire hurt or, you know, whatever, 100 different things that happen in that scenario. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Does all this make sense? Do you still think I'm a poser? You probably do. I don't know. I'm just being stupid. But whether you do or you don't, if you enjoyed the episode and you agree with it or disagree with it, you can let me know in the comments or through emails or direct messages. All the links are in the description of the audio and video versions. And make sure you subscribe and follow and all that stuff too, man. Ski Rex Media getting back on track because it's been a rough week since that Thursday I went to Bolton Valley when I probably shouldn't have been out, and the universe keeps reminding me of it. But that's a whole other story for a whole other time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thank you for watching. So which is thank you for watching or thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. There'll be another one next week. Still working on some things, getting back on track, getting tech issues solved, getting everything done and ready to make Ski Rex Media what it should be. Right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you on the next one. Take care. Later.